All right, guys, we got a few things to unpack this Monday. Are you guys also excited? I feel like the ISA packed the most exciting part of the entire World Championships right into the first weekend. And also packing is you guys pack your click onto that like button and help me out with this video. Give me a comment and see what you think. And yeah, I don't even know where to start. So I think we're maybe first things first. We start with some results, look at some names, the race in itself. Then we look a little bit overall because the ISA was not the first and only World Championships. Maybe we'll do a little bit of a comparison, look what's going on. Maybe talk a little bit about some rumors that were being spread also, particularly through this Monday. So let's talk about all of that good stuff. Team USA booking 3 gold medals. That's amazing. That's amazing. I was looking at the starter list, of course, last week, and we were trying to make a few predictions, and I don't think it would have won a lot of money if I would have set money down. I probably would have won my money on Connor with the sprint. So super stoked seeing Connor booking that sprint. And that was awesome. That's his new thing, and he keeps winning. So he's solidified here his stance and his status as a sprint master, and also jumping over maybe a little bit prematurely, but into the tech race with Candice Appleby winning there. Also very dominant there, super strong, catching a wave in the first round, catching another wave in the second round, and then another wave in the third round. That was quite amazing. And remind you guys, those 2 names have been in the sport for as long as I can think. They've been there from the beginning. That's why I put this cover up here for a very young Connor that we printed a few years ago on the legendary Maui to Molokai downwind race. And it's just amazing to see how Connor is still dominating parts of the SUP disciplines. And the same thing goes out to Candice, winning so many Battle of the Paddles, winning so many races, and still showing everybody at the age of 37. And that brings me also back to the sprint. Like, how stoked are we for April Zilk at the age of 36, showing the young guns how it's done, like leaving behind her Caroline Kunzel and Cecilia Pompinello and Mary Carmen Rivera. And yeah, I mean, how cool is that? And how cool are these young guns doing? I mean, Caroline had a really epic year this year, and I think she can be more than happy with her second place. And I think the same thing goes out to Cecilia as an upcoming junior paddler from Italy, bringing it into the final. So congratulations to her. And then a little bit of a dark horse moment there with Mary Carmen, a name that I sadly have never heard of, but will remember from now on. And then moving over to the guys, I mean, like the tech race from the guys was amazing. I mean, did you guys think Shuri, Araki, Shrimpy would book this? I mean, that tech race was very exciting. Watching the finals through, I mean, with the man, like there was a Boothie fell, and then we had Noik there fell as well, and everything was up in the air. Connor in the lead up to the first buoy, and then it was Shrimpy there with that wave pulling off, and then really him and Noik pulling away from the pack, and Shrimpy bringing it in for Team Japan. So definitely not something that I've seen coming. Now that is the technical race, and still 5Ks is a little long, but if you throw waves in the mix, it sure makes it far more exciting than the flat water paddling. And here is now, of course, the big point. We can compare the races. We had a very flat ICF sprint race, a technical race. We had a not so flat long distance race for the ICF. We had a not so flat race with the European SUP Championships. And then we had a very much not flat ISA race. And I know we had this whole thing going on back during the ICF, where a lot of people complained about how the conditions of the ocean is just unbearable for most people that participate. We had some videos about that, we were writing about it, and I'd say if you would have thrown today the same people into the mix that we had over in Europe, and it would have been the same situation. And it raises, of course, the question again, surf versus flat water, and we should make a whole video about this yet again. Maybe we'll make it a topic with Chris where we just really have to dissect that, because it would go way too far right now. Are we going into surf races? Because yes, we have to consider Olympic, and that's another thing, Olympic, these guys were spreading quite a few rumors there, like talking about Olympics, and of course there were people watching that are not 100% understanding English, and sure enough, I had an email this morning when I woke up from one of the guys over in Europe asking me, is it going Olympic in LA 2028? I've been hearing the commentators said that it's going to be Olympic. He sent me a screenshot, some other guy in Holland. And I was like, wow, well, let me get up first and find out what is going on. What are they saying? That just showed how fast the rumor can spread. And of course, at no time they were saying that SUP is going to be Olympic or the tech race is going to be Olympic in LA 2028. But they were mentioning a few times that the IOC is considering adding SUP tech race to LA 2028, or at least thinking about it. Along with what I heard there is that they may be adding longboard surfing also to the Olympics. But remember, guys, in order for the ISA to get more medals into their contingent, some other sport have to give up the medals. The IOC has so many medals to give, and that's a cap, that's a done deal. So in order for the ISA to get more medals, they'd have to come from another sport, because the ISA only has the surf medals, and unless like an ICF who has medals up the wazoo with all the different canoe sports, and they can throw out a canoe sport and bring in SUP. The ISA can't do that. They're gonna have to find another sport that is willing to cut, or however that process works. I don't know. But that's just to nip that in the bud here, guys. There is no confirmation or whatsoever that LA 2028 is gonna be Olympic with SUP. But hey, we sure might wanna hope so. It brings me, of course, speaking about commentating and the production, I was actually very impressed. It was a very nice production. They had instant recaps there, and we were talking about, the knowledge of the commentators, of the paddlers, and I was talking to my wife about that because we were watching a little bit, and my wife actually then could care less about the knowledge. She's like, well, that guy sounds very professional. I'm like, yeah, you're right. Bo Hodge is a really good commentator there. He doesn't have the names always quite right, but you know what? The regular SUP spectator like my wife, or which is not even a regular SUP spectator, she doesn't hear that. She hears a good voice, she hears a good articulation, and that is what counts. And then for us pros, like, well, you kind of mispronounced that name, or you're kind of like, this was actually a different person, but you know what? In the bigger picture, maybe this is all minors. So definitely the ISA had the best production, in my opinion, from what we've seen coming out this year. They had an instant recap of the race. They had a little studio going, and then they had somebody down on the beach. So just like the perfect way to do that. Now the icing on the cake now would be having a pre-show with studio guests and a post-show with studio guests, kind of like how the WSL started doing that. So, but overall, I was really pleased. It was really good to watch. Not quite sure why it wasn't on YouTube, so we watched everything on Facebook, but that's all good. So what we have left is the long distance race next week. Now we're gonna have a week of surfing, which is fine, so we can sit back and watch how our surfing friends are doing. That's gonna be, I think, something like 4 days, and then we'll see you guys next week in the next video.